Hello and welcome. Today we've got something special for you. So sit down, take a rest, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another 101 class. Today, after a lot of people during the last few years have asked me to do this, I'm going to finally do it. A special class on SpiderMan Reign. So welcome to Reign 101. So sit down, stick around, and enjoy. So SpiderMan Reign, which is, here's the hardcover reprint of the series, is a 4-part miniseries. Basically, it was dubbed the Batman, the Dark Knight of Spider-Man. So, what it is, The Dark Knight Returns, Batman. It's about an older Batman who comes back out of retirement type thing and basically helps save the world. Same thing here. It's Spider-Man who comes back out of retirement and helps save the world. So, this takes place about 30 years into the future, where Spider-Man, or Peter Parker I should say, Spider-Man is retired. So Spider-Man no longer swings around webs and all stuff like that. It's just Peter Parker, and Peter Parker has a job. Now, we all remember Peter Parker having the great job of photographer, sometimes helping biochemistry stuff in universities, teachers, stuff like that. What is Peter's job in the future? The most important job you could possibly ever imagine. Peter Parker is a florist. Yes. Peter Parker's a florist in the future. Which is kind of funny, but I mean, that's what it is. This whole storyline basically of Reign, what it is the rain or rain here, rain, not rain like, oh, it's raining, I'm gonna get wet, ah shit, where's my umbrella? Reign is actually what is referred to as the super police force of New York City. They are led by the mayor of New York City, which has created what's called the web. So put that here, the web. The web is kind of like laser beamish type. It's like a big web, I guess, made out of lasers, that covers New York City and keeps people from leaving or coming into New York City. So New York City is kind of in its own little bubble, a la Biodome. Without Pauly Shore, of course. Yeah, because it might not have been as good with Pauly Shore in it. Anyways, regardless, what it is, it's this big web basically. All New York lives in there. It's crime-free. It's a utopia, but it's a very totalitarian, authoritative type place where the mayor and the cronies, the Reign, basically run the show, and that's the way it is. There are no superheroes anymore. Superheroes are kind of like outlawed. All you basically have is this Reign tyranny type police that runs the show. So what happens is basically J. Jonah Jameson, who's still alive and pretty old here, he actually gets insight that the Reign and the mayor are actually corrupt. Duh. I would figure that out. I mean, totalitarian place like that, you would figure that out. But regardless, J. Jonah Jameson, decides that he wants to try to bring balance back, and he wants the superhero back. The man who hated Spider-Man for years wants the superhero back. And something that's cool that happens in the comic is that J. Jonah Jameson visits Peter Parker at his apartment and drops off a paper bag. And this paper bag, basically brings through, and it's kind of catalyst to everything that'll happen later. Because in the paper bag, once J. Jonah Jameson leaves, Peter will open up the paper bag, and before that, J. Jonah Jameson basically apologizes for smearing and telling lies in his paper and all that stuff to Peter, and for dragging his name in the mud. And Peter doesn't really understand what the hell's going on until he opens the bag. In the bag, there are two things, and two things very important and dear to Peter. We have Spider-Man's mask and Peter's camera. So J. Jonah Jameson has saved these things for years. He knew all along that Peter was Spider-Man. Or not all along, but he knows now. He's known for a while. not saying he knew it from Amazing Number 1 and on, but he knew it. And he's basically saying, please come back, please put a stop to this. This isn't a way to live, you know what I mean? They're corrupt. Because you see a lot of them, and kids are trying to uprise and they can't, because this new government, the reign is very strict. It's kind of reminds you of V for Vendetta in a way, a lot of it. So basically Peter comes back just wearing the mask initially with nothing on, except for his, I think it was his boxers if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of neat, and fight some crime and all that. Then the Reign learns of this, of the return of Spider-Man. The mayor goes a little hectic about it, so he decides, okay, what are we going to do to combat Spider-Man? Well, we have supervillains still locked away. Well, let's offer them a deal. Let's offer the supervillains, 6 of them, 6, as they were known, or the group Sinister Six, as those of you know. They call them in the comic the Sinner Six. And they get the Sinner Six together and basically send them off to try to destroy and stop Spider-Man from causing the uprisal that they want to prevent. The Sinner Six are actually comprised of the following villains. You have Mysterio, Kraven, then Hydro Man, Sandman, Scorpion, and last and certainly not least, Electro. So we have Mysterio, Kraven, Hydro Man, Sandman, Scorpion, and Electro, which are part of the Sinner Six. They go out and basically try to stop Spider-Man. We learned a few things about Spider-Man. A lot of interesting things are happening in this story. And I'm probably not going to have enough time to cover every little bit of detail in this review. But one of the major things, or one huge point here, is that Peter Parker is actually directly responsible for the death of Mary Jane. He didn't kill her or let her die like he did Gwen Stacy, or try to save her when Gwen Stacy, stuff like that. It's a lot more tragic than that, actually, in the fact that she died from cancer, from radioactive exposure. So basically she died because Peter's exposure to her being slightly radioactive, either through, well, they talk about sexual contact and other things like that, bodily fluids, stuff like that. So basically Peter causes Mary Jane's death inadvertently, and he is guilty about it. And the second she dies is basically when he gives up being Spider-Man in the first place. He's very tormented about it. He sees visions of her. He still talks to her, talks to these visions. Naturally not really her. Very, very, very entrenching story there to see how he reacts and how he talks and how he kind of goes a little loopy, I guess, blaming himself for her death. And on top of J. Jonah actually helping Spider-Man come back, another person, or villain actually, to help Spider-Man come back is Dr. Octopus. Interestingly enough, Doc Ock is dead. It's just a skeleton, but still attached to the tentacles, who were given one last order, and it's basically to bring Spider-Man back. So it's kind of neat to see the Doc, not really the Doc, the tentacles pulling around a skeleton of Dr. Octopus, kind of try to help Peter come back, reconnect, take him back to his costume, make him realize that he's needed in the world, in this fight, in this totalitarian government. A few things you start to notice during the story are the bells. All the bells in the city are taken down, like the big church bells and that. Bells are taken down. Nobody really knows why. One of the bells is actually hidden by a gang of people, of kids and people who just want to hide it, thinking for some reason they're going to need it. J. Jonah Jameson actually spears this. And it's kind of funny because they do need it in the end, because in the reasoning is that behind the government, behind the mayor, is the mayor's assistant. What we don't know about the mayor's assistant, and we will find out later on in the story, is the mayor's assistant is actually Venom. The mayor's assistant is Venom. He has the symbiote. It wants to rule New York. It will use the web to project itself, to basically it's going to multiply, project itself, infect other people, and basically, hopefully, take over the entire world once it takes over New York. So we get a huge battle between Venom and Spider-Man in this. Because in the end, even though the Sinner Six are after Spider-Man and all that, as he systematically defeats them, he has one huge challenge at the end, and that's Venom. He's got to take down the Man in Black. So that was very cool, a very good twist. That Venom is actually the huge villain out of all this, but you don't really know it until later on in the story. The story is definitely superbly well written. A lot of the stuff with Peter and memories of Mary Jane and meeting her corpse in a cemetery thanks to that Doc Ock hybrid skeleton thingy. A lot of very neat moments, a lot of tender moments, a lot of touching moments that make this story definitely a must-read. If you haven't read it, go out, buy it, read it, and let me know what you think, because this is definitely one of the big gems in the Marvel Universe that not necessarily everybody has picked up and had a chance to read. I mean, when I sat down and read this, I was looking at it and I'm like, oh my god, like, it's just, Peter's life is so sad. And we've always seen Peter's life as being sad. But you always saw some high moments in his life. You know, it was sad, but he had these good moments. So he kind of went up and down and fluctuated. In this case, there's nothing up. Like, it's all down. Like, he endured so much. So much was taken away from him. Like I said in my trailer for this video, like, would he save the world when his whole world was taken away from him? And that's the major question. Will he succeed in saving the world from the Reign? Until next time, guys. Later.